Welcome back, everybody, to Cedar Creek. My name is Josie, and I will apologize ahead of time if you hear some things banging around or you hear my wind chimes going crazy. It has been just terribly, terribly windy today, and I knew that. They've been talking about it for a week now, it seems like, and today we've definitely got the wind. Those to the east of us, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, that away. The next couple of days, y'all really need to keep your heads up and pay attention, because you've got chances for severe storms as far as tornadoes and that kind of stuff. And we haven't been under the gun this time for that, but we have had really high winds. We're under red flag warnings for the wind and hurricane force winds. So things are blowing around out there. There are big old dust storms. My dirt road is blowing across my farm, and the cows have got their heads down and trying to get into places where it's not so disturbing to them. The dogs have, Foxy and Sadie have found them places where they can get away from the nasty dirt and dust blowing. And I will tell you that if you've got any kind of breathing trouble or any kind of allergies, this stuff is not so good. And I've had a little bit of trouble, and I could hear it on yesterday's video. You might be able to hear it just a little bit. It seems like it affects me more so used to than when more so after I had COVID back in 2020. It seems like I get my lungs get really irritated easily. So I've tried to stay in mostly today because it's been just so bad. And I know that some of my viewers in Texas and that have already been going through this, they say it's quite the storm that's blowing through, and it is hazy looking. You know how when they have like a prescribed burn or something when they're burning off prairie or clearing forest so that there's not as big of a fire danger. That's kind of what it's like today. It's real hazy and just kind of yucky. And then, of course, they've got all those warnings out for no fires, no barbecues, no anything. I can't imagine anybody even, trying to do that. So we're in here, and I brought you those pie recipes yesterday. That I had some entrees that I was going to do and a dip today. And so that's what I'm putting together now. I got a couple of hours before it'll be time to get ready and head to the church and enjoy the singing. This is the first recipe that I'm going to make today. I have the oven turned on to 375 degrees, and this is an Italian ring made with crescent rolls. You're going to need 2 cans of crescent rolls. They can be store brand, they can be name brand, but just 2 cans. And you're going to just simply build your crescent roll around your pan. Now I use these crescent rolls for a base in several different recipes. At Christmas time, I use this as a cherry ring. I'm trying to remember if I shared that recipe with y'all or not. I can't remember. But you just roll them out and put them together with the point side out, kind of like you're making a sunshine. That makes sense. And so you're going to just get that all out. Now sometimes you have to finesse them and move them around a little bit, and it's all good. It's going to work for you. Sometimes you kind of get your circle kind of closing up a little bit, and you have to readjust, move those rays out just a little bit. And when you get them all on there, then you can spend your time trying to shape it the best way that you can. Gonna go back this way. Okay, so I've got them all on there without smushing these here off of the edge of the counter. I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna kind of pinch these together. Now you can move them up a little bit if you want to. And you can think about the ingredients that you like on your Italian sub. I'm not going to put any sauce or anything like that on this. I'll let people use what they want to at the church. But we've got this all out. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put some provolone cheese on here. And I'm going to take them, and these are rounds, and I'm just going to bend them in half like this. And I'm just going to go overlapping just a little bit around this circle. Can y'all hear my wind chimes? Sounds like I hooked them up to an engine. They've just blown and blown and blown. I hope the neighbors like them. Sometimes they can be aggravating to people that don't really like that sound, but they bought them for me, so. Okay, so I've got this around just like this. Now your next option that you have is the type of meat that you put on here. Today I'm using ham and pepperonis. Now you can use salami, you can use any of the Italian cheeses that you like. But I'm going to start, and I'm going to do a layer of ham. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I kind of double it up like that. Not going to try to be stingy. I want there to be plenty of meat on there. We want them to know that they're having a good sandwich. Seems like if you've got circle like cuts, that with this particularly, it works if you put the flat side towards the inside of the circle right here and just go all the way around. Now I'm kind of overlapping mine just a little bit because I want people to have plenty of meat. We don't care if it pokes out the sides. To this, I am going to add in some roasted red bell pepper. I don't like stuff really, really chunky. I don't like my salsa chunky. I don't like, you know, a lot of things that's really, really chunky. But I am going to chop these peppers up just a little bit. And I'm going to just dot them throughout. And that looks like it's going to be plenty. This little jar is 10 ounces, and I've used about half of it. Now, if you are making this and you really, really like the toppings, like these peppers, you could use the whole jar, or you could leave it out. It's totally 100% up to you. If you've got littles that don't have a very developed palate as of yet, you might not want that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to put on there is pepperonis. And again, it's up to you. I wouldn't overstuff it to where that it's just totally, you know, so overstuffed that you have trouble getting it all closed in here. Okay. The next thing that I am going to put on here is some pepperoncinis. And I'm sure that I am saying it incorrectly simply because I'm a Southern girl and I'm sure that I won't have the correct pronunciation for it. But I'm gonna go along with the pepperoncinis. Now these are mild. You can choose whatever heat level that you want. If you want this really spicy, you can make it really spicy. You could put, don't know that it would necessarily be Italian, but you could put whatever, you know, jalapeno peppers or whatever kind of peppers that you wanted. You could use some spicy Italian meat cuts. That's all up to you. The very last thing that I'm going to put on here is some shredded mozzarella cheese. And that's kind of a little bit of glue to hold this all together. Another reason why you don't really want to overdo some of your pickled vegetables and is because, you know, too much liquid could make this soggy, and you don't want it to be soggy. You want it to be nice and firm and good, toasted. Okay, so now that it's all together, you might be saying, well, now what? Because it still looks like a big sun with a whole bunch of stuff piled on top of it. So what we're simply going to do is you're going to take each of these little rays, so to speak, and you're just going to tuck them under like this. Now don't worry if this thing closes up and you can't see the toppings. That's fine. It's going to bake up and be really pretty. Sometimes when it bakes up, you can see between all of the spaces, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it just cooks in there and makes like a solid crescent, and it's like a surprise when you cut it open. Sometimes though, you can see. Now what I'm doing is I am just tucking this under the edges. The very first time that I saw anybody use a crescent roll and do something like this was at a Pampered Chef party that I went to before I was ever married. And I was enamored with it. I just thought that was Pampered Chef, was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you know, I wanted to fill my hope chest with Pampered Chef products. And it seemed like in those days, you know, there was all kinds of home parties. Not that Tupperware was still going, but it seems like in my crowd, there was a few there was a few Tupperware parties, but I remember going to more Pampered Chef and home decor parties. I can't remember the name of the company, but you could buy pictures and wall sconces and shelves and figurines, and I don't even think they're in business anymore. It seems like, you know, you get so much stuff offline that used to not be, that some of those companies just aren't there anymore. And it's kind of a shame in some ways, because that was another opportunity that we had to fellowship with one another and to enjoy being out and, you know, talking with the girls and just, you know, some good old camaraderie and ladies laughing and telling stories and encouraging one another. Wish I could think of that company. I'm sure y'all know. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Just like this. Now you can do an egg wash and you could sprinkle some Italian seasoning on the top or something like that. But I'll be totally honest with you. Our little group of people, they like it simple. So I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna put it in the oven and I'm gonna bake it. And I'm gonna start with about 20 minutes and we'll see what these crescent rolls look like. Sometimes when they're filled, rather than just being rolled up to use as a little bit of a little roll, it seems like it takes a little bit longer for them to get done, but we will check this at 20 minutes. Now I told you on Thursday when I brought you the recipes for the peanut butter pie and the chocolate pie that that I was going to be taking to our church singing and our fellowship dinner afterwards. Then on Friday, I would bring you recipes for the two main entrees that I was taking to share with my other church family. So I put the recipes together, made a video for y'all, and the second recipe, which was the blooming quesadilla recipe, I got it all together and got it in the oven and my power went out. Oklahoma yesterday, Texas and Oklahoma, and then later on into Arkansas, and the storms are going on in other places today. Oklahoma did not get any rain. We didn't get the tornadoes and that kind of stuff. What Oklahoma got yesterday was a dust storm and a windstorm, extremely bad windstorm, hurricane force winds constantly all day long. And so when I was making these meals, these recipes to bring to you, there was all kinds of interruptions. My front door blew open, the wind got a hold of it and blew it, and I had to go fix it. And as I got that recipe in the oven, the power went off, and I had to wait for the power to come back on to finish baking that recipe and being able to take it to church and share it. Now, I will tell you that the first recipe that I'm going to share with you guys today, the spicy Italian sub ring, it turned out fine. It turned out good. It wasn't soggy on the bottom. I worried about that because we take the food and then we have a singing and then we go and eat. And I was kind of concerned that might happen, but I was able to get it on a warming plate and it was just fine. So that recipe is really well. But I don't want to share the other recipe with you until I can show you step by step and have it turn out with no problems with the oven, with no interruptions from the storm, and so that I can share with you something that goes a long ways and that it will be something that's delicious. I felt like the way it baked and everything, that the recipe really turned out kind of dry, and I was really disappointed with it. So you will, on this video today, in certain parts, hear me talking about both recipes, and just know you're not going to get the blooming quesadilla recipe. Most of that will be cut out entirely, but probably in the beginning when I'm talking about both recipes, and at the end when you see the end results, you'll see it sitting here, end results. Just know that you didn't miss video, you didn't miss me making it, that I chose to take that part out, and there wasn't really any other way to present the recipe or present the video with the good recipe without including parts beginning and end of that video, or the beginning and the end of that recipe as well. So anyway, I will get that. I owe you one on that. So our first recipe is out of the oven and ready to go. I'm going to leave it on here. I was going to put it on a pretty glass tray, but I think I'm going to leave it on here simply because we're having such a hard time with the weather today. I think it would be easier and sturdier in this. Then I can put it on that hot plate at the church and keep it warm so that it doesn't get soggy on the bottom or have any kind of issues like that. So I'm going to leave this one like this, let it cool. the electricity went off. Okay, that is my front door. It is getting crazy, crazy windy. Seems like more so than what it was here. And I've just got alerts that there are wildfires that are breaking out in western Oklahoma. Now that's a ways away from us, but with the crazy winds, with the dry vegetation, and the low humidity, that is just a disaster waiting to happen. And so I am going to get off here, get this stuff ready to go to the church, get the pies and get all that prepared to go so that I can help set up the kitchen before it's time to go into the sanctuary. And I've had different ones reaching out saying that their area of the country that they're in with their children and their grandchildren, to please pray for them. So let's, as a community, pray for one another. Those that are in the paths of those storms, tornadoes and other devastating things, let's pray for those. And those of us that are having these high winds and that are in danger of those wildfires, and not that they'll get here to my house, but there are people here in Oklahoma, in Texas, and other places that are affected. And so let's pray for one another as we leave. As always, guys, I love you. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. And until next time, we're gone.